like this, man, you know, it kind of give me chills now, coming out and everybody booing. They get me more pumped up than anything. People booing, throwing stuff, you know, angry. That really takes the nervousness out of me.
Caliber of fighter that Errol is, you know, just like I know the caliber fighter of Tim. You know, I think both of them have taken a lot of damage in their career so far, but I just think, you know, Errol skill-wise, just edge. I just wish him well. You know, I wish him well, much respect with him, his career, and I'll be looking forward to seeing what he do in his future.
I think Errol's gonna do an amazing job. I'm looking forward to him getting back in the ring. I think, you know, he's gonna be successful in his comeback, and I think.
Errol Spence has now revealed how training alongside Terence Crawford is helping him prepare for Tim Tszyu, and that alone makes this comeback feel far more serious. Seeing Errol Spence and Terence Crawford working together in the gym immediately makes the Tim Tszyu fight even more intriguing. Having already shared the ring with Crawford, Spence now gets another opportunity to study the small details that made Bud such a dangerous opponent. Being around him could help Errol sharpen his timing, defense, and
Good. What's up, little man?
From the latest training footage, Errol Spence already looks completely focused in camp. He is running through the park, building his conditioning, and preparing like a fighter who understands there are real questions surrounding him. After the Crawford defeat, the layoff, and everything fans have seen, people want to know whether the Big Shark can return to that elite version once again. Tim Tszyu has already spoken as if he is coming to retire Spence, but Errol appears determined to prove otherwise. If this level of discipline carries into fight night, Tszyu may not be facing a faded version of Spence. Terence Crawford is confident that Errol Spence will defeat Tim Tszyu. He believes Spence still has the skills, experience, and ring IQ required to overcome a difficult challenge like Tszyu.
Do you think well, you've said you don't think he beats Errol Spence.
Yeah, I think Spence beat him. At this point in both of their career, I think Spence beat him. I'm not the judge, you know, I'm not the one to say, you know, what he can and what he can't do. Me and my boy Tszyu had a little wager on if him and Spence fought each other, who will win. And I had to back Spence because that's what I believe in. But, you know, I'm not the one fighting, so at the end of the day, I'm not the one that controls who win or lose.
What could you tell Tim, or what could you tell him about a Spence fight if he was a future opponent?
I can't tell him nothing. I just tell him good luck, train hard, and go in there and fight.
So would you say taking the Errol Spence fight, it wouldn't be the best decision for his future? Because that would arguably mean...
I think that's a good fight for both of them in right now in their careers. You know, I think that's a great fight for both of them because it's winnable for both.
Crawford said he is excited to watch Spence return to action and expects him to produce a successful comeback performance.
Why are you confident that you win that bet with Tszyu, you know, watch Errol in the fight?
Well, I'm not, you know, 100% confident, you know. I just know, you know, the caliber of fighter that Errol is, you know, just like I know the caliber fighter of Tim. You know, I think both of them have taken a lot of damage in their career so far, but I just think, you know, Errol skill-wise, just edge. Nah, I just wish him well. You know, I wish him well, much respect with him, his career, and I'll be looking forward to seeing what he do in his future.
Brian Norman also made a bold prediction about Errol Spence, saying he would put Tim Tszyu to sleep. That kind of statement makes the fight feel even bigger because Spence's return is no longer being discussed as a slow rebuild. Some people believe he can come straight back and make a major statement. And if Errol is truly locked in, training hard and learning from the Crawford experience, then this fight could be more dangerous for Tszyu than meant.
We're just going to see a different version of Errol Spence. And I feel like he's going to be better than he was in the past. And what I mean by that is, first round knockout coming soon. And Tim Tszyu is going to sleep, man. The boy ain't got nothing for him but dude from Australia. My boy, he coming to Australia just to give him the work. You feel me? But back to what I was saying, I just feel like Errol Spence is going to be a great fighter. He's doing the thing. I see him in camp. and hella.
Shakur Stevenson is also happy to see Errol Spence making his return, especially since this will be Spence's first fight back after facing Terence Crawford. Shakur has always respected Errol because he sees him as a real dog, the type of fighter willing to step into difficult situations and still apply pressure. That is why Shakur believes Spence can travel to Australia and beat Tim Tszyu in his own backyard. To him, this is nothing new for Errol. Spence built his career by taking major fights, handling pressure, and breaking opponents down when the spot.
Errol Spence. Errol Spence is back. Yeah. Fighting Tim Tszyu, been on first fight since fight with 2023 with Bud. How you feeling about that?
I think you're gonna do good. I wish Errol the best. I hope Errol go in there and beat Tim Tszyu up. I'm a Errol Spence fan. I was cool with Errol Spence, especially before that Bud fight a long time ago. He was a cool dude, so I'm with Errol Spence. I want Errol Spence to prosper.
And that fight is over in Australia too.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I don't think Tim Tszyu could beat Errol. Like I know Errol is mentally tough. Errol is a dog when it comes to fighting. So I don't think Tim.
Roy Jones Jr. also explained what he respects most about Errol Spence, and it comes down to the fact that Spence is not looking for an easy path back after a long layoff and a difficult loss to Crawford. Most fighters would choose a soft tune-up fight simply to rebuild confidence. But Errol is choosing Tim Tszyu, a dangerous opponent who has remained active and understands how to apply pressure. To Roy, that says a lot about how much fight Spence still has left inside him. He sees Errol as the type of fighter who does not return just to play it safe. He comes back to challenge himself.
But the biggest thing I gotta say that I love about Errol Spence is that Errol don't want no easy fights. Errol don't want to fight guys that are
He AKA
somebody.
no tune-up.
No,
he don't want no
tune-up. He wants challenges. You understand me? He wants challenges. And for him to challenge a person like Tim Tszyu, when Tim Tszyu has been regularly fighting for the last 3 years, he's been not doing much. That says a lot about Errol, but that tells you exactly how much fight is still left in Errol. Errol is a guy who always coming to the party to dance. He don't have time to play no games, and you gotta love him.
That same respect for Errol was shared by Andre Ward. However, Ward also added a more realistic warning regarding the comeback. He said Spence has always been the kind of fighter who does not need to talk much because his style does the talking for him. Errol brings pressure, toughness, body work, and a relentless pace. So anyone standing across the ring from him has to be prepared for a difficult night. But Ward also explained why this return carries risk. Spence is older now. He has spent a long time away from the ring, and instead of taking a softer comeback fight, he is jumping straight in against Tim Tszyu. That is what makes this matchup so fascinating.
And I've always had respect for Errol Spence because he's a real fighter. You know, he's not a guy that talks a lot, but he brings a big stick to the battle. And you know when you deal with Errol Spence, you got to bring your lunch pail because he's going to bring it and he's nothing to play with. Obviously, being 36 years of age, being off as long as he hasn't had the tune-up fights. And by the way, I need my tune-up. Give me my
Bozy Ennis also believes Errol Spence versus Tim Tszyu has a stoppage written all over it. However, he did mention one important point. Errol needs to move his head more. Spence is the kind of fighter who presses forward, throws high volume, and tries to wear opponents down. But at times that also means he absorbs shots while trying to get his own offense going. Against Tim Tszyu, that can be dangerous because Tim is strong, sharp, and willing to exchange. Even with that risk, Bozy still believes Spence has the pressure, experience, and style needed to hurt Tim and force the fight into a war. In his view, this is not going to be a quiet points fight.
Like, what should he be doing?
What Spence should be doing? Spence should be Spence, man. But he must move his head, though. Because Spence should come right at you and just throw punches. He got to and work on catching them shots. You know what I mean? If you ain't going to move your head, you got to catch some shots. You know what I mean? With your hands. You know?
This isn't a stoppage. How's that fight out?
I think it's going to be a stoppage. Somebody getting stopped. And you know I'm going with Spence, so.
Bernie the Boxer also reacted to the viral hallway moment involving Errol Spence and Tim Tszyu, where Spence refused to shake Tim's hand after hearing him say he was going to retire him. Bernie did not make much of it, saying this is exactly the type of talk fighters are supposed to use before a major fight. In his opinion, if Tim says he is going to retire Spence, then Errol should respond by saying he is going to beat him up.
You see there's like a viral clip of him, Tim Tszyu trying to shake his hand, and he's like, nah, I'm not shaking your hand, I've been hearing you talking about you're gonna retire me and all that.
Bernie felt that people were taking the trash talk too seriously because, at the end of the day, both men are fighters and that tension helps build the matchup. He also spoke about the fight being held at 158, saying it is closer to middleweight than junior middleweight, but he still views it as a good comeback fight for Bernie. The main point is simple. Everyone wants to see what Errol Spence looks like when he finally makes.
He had to lose a lot of weight to make weight too, so good little fight, can't wait to see the fight. Errol Spence carrying the torch, everybody want to see what he gonna do. Most anticipation in a long time, so I just want to see the fight. So
Tim Tszyu also took a shot at Errol Spence by saying he tried to show respect, but Errol clearly did not want to match that same energy. After Spence refused to shake his hand and fired shots at him, Tim remained calm but still sent a few verbal jabs back. He said that people bringing up his father does not bother.
Only shows insecurity.
Look, I've been brought up with humility and respect, but I guess it doesn't work on both sides. That's fine, I see how it is. It's all good.
As you stated up there as well, he brought up your father, that you're not your father. It's that, and you said it yourself. It's been said in every single fight. Is that still something that kind of bothers people want to bring that up?
No, it doesn't bother me. It just shows their insecurity. That's all right. That's fine. What my father's done in his career, I'm super proud of, and there's nothing to be ashamed.
Then Tim questioned which version of Errol would actually show up after the long layoff. He even said Spence looked slightly dizzy against Terence Crawford. So even though Tim kept his tone mostly respectful, the message remained sharp. Errol can talk tough right now, but he still has to prove he is the same fighter once they are actually under the.
So, even though I don't really understand much what he says, I don't know, maybe it's his accent or something, but yeah, I hope he brings that energy.
Speaks low in Texas, so yeah,
that's what it is?
Yeah, just
right.
low volume
Texas.
and Texas accent and everything.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
usually I'm alright with the American accent, but that one's hard.
It's a little country.
Hard to understand.
What type of fighter do you expect besides the because of the fact that he hasn't been in the ring for 3 years, and he chose this time to come back and fight you in your backyard?
Yeah, I think he's refreshed, rejuvenated. I hope he is. When he fought Terence Crawford, I felt like he looked a bit dizzy, so I don't know. So hopefully he's all right. Hopefully he's at his peak.
When Tim Tszyu was asked about the possibility of facing Errol Spence, he gave a calm but honest response. He admitted that people will always have different opinions regarding major fights, and that is exactly what makes matchups like this so interesting. Some fans will choose him, others will choose Spence, and that debate is part of the build-up. Tim also explained that styles can influence opinions in different ways because a fight between him and Spence is not easy to predict. In his view, that is what makes the matchup so significant. Both men bring something dangerous to the table. But when Terence Crawford's name was mentioned, Tim did not sound convinced that Crawford.
Spence to beat you though, if you were two at a fire. Do you think he'll change his mind with a great performance this weekend?
That's right. You need 50-50. You need people to say this guy, you need people to say this guy, and that's fine. There's certain styles that people think they swing different ways. That's what makes me and Errol Spence so interesting, is that it could go either way.
You were meant to fight Terence. Well, there were talks about it previously. Gee, it'd be nice if you beat Errol Spence if he wanted to come back out of retirement, stadium fight in Sydney.
I think he's pretty comfortable, man. I think he's pretty.
Roy Jones Jr. also spoke about Errol Spence's return, and he sounded genuinely happy to see him back in boxing. Roy said the boxing world wants to see Spence make a comeback because nobody wants to watch a great fighter leave the sport on a bad note without trying to respond. In his opinion, that is what real fighters do. They take the setback, think about everything, and then decide whether they still have something left. Roy also described this as a smart return because Tim Tszyu is not just a random opponent. He is also a fighter trying to bounce back from his own struggles. That makes the matchup more compelling because
return of Errol Spence.
I'm so glad to have him back. to see that he's back in boxing. The boxing world is glad to see that he came back. We all want to see him make a comeback. We don't never want to see a guy go out bad and not try to come back, because that's what boxers do. I know he took a lot of things into consideration. He even told me when he spoke to a few people about it, and that was a good thing, but I'm glad he made the conscious decision to return. And I think it's a smart return, because it's also against a guy who was on the way up there, who made it to the top, but had some struggles, and now he's on the incline trying to get back up too. So it's two guys trying to get back up, I think.
Andre Ward also added that this is exactly why Spence's return has people curious. It is not because fans have forgotten what Errol can do. It is because they want to find out how much of that old version still remains. Spence has always been known for breaking fighters down through pressure, bodywork, and discipline. But returning after a lengthy layoff against someone like Tim Tszyu is not an easy task. Ward's point was that the respect for Errol already exists. The questions now revolve around timing, age, sharpness, and whether he can jump straight into a dangerous fight without needing rounds first. That is what makes this comeback feel like a
He's not with the tune-up, and you gotta know who you are. If Errol knows that I can't really get up for that guy, then I can only get up for these type of guys. You gotta.
On the other hand, while many people are backing Errol Spence to return strongly, Robert Garcia is leaning more toward Tim Tszyu. Robert feels Errol is taking a very risky path by jumping directly into a difficult fight after a long layoff and the Crawford loss. In his opinion, Spence may have made the wrong decision by not taking an easier comeback fight first, because Tim is active, strong, and not the kind of opponent who allows anyone to ease their way back in. Robert believes Errol still has the name and experience, but against Tszyu he will have to prove immediately that the old version is still there.
Yesterday I read it all over the internet that Errol Spence has nothing left, that he can't beat Tim Tszyu.
Yeah, if they want to switch it like that, I don't say he can't beat Tim Tszyu.
That's what they said in the headline.
Yeah, well, of course, that's what the headline's gonna do to fucking,
always do that to
make it look so people could tune into it.
Yeah.
No. Errol Spence was a badass. Pound for pound, one of the best fighters.
3 belts, yep.
But made wrong choices. Drank too much, car accidents. I don't know. I don't know what else. I don't know. I never heard anything. So a lot of times drugs get involved and shit like that. I'm not saying that's the case, but I know alcohol what? Even admitted. Accidents. When he fought Crawford, you could tell that was not the Errol Spence we were used to seeing. And what was that, 4 years?
According to Robert Garcia, the biggest issue for Errol Spence is that he is not taking a tune-up fight first. Robert believes that after the Crawford loss and such a long absence from the ring, Errol should have returned against someone easier just to test his timing, confidence, and sharpness. Instead, he is going straight into Tim Tszyu, who is active, strong, and dangerous. That is why Robert believes this could end badly for Spence. If Errol is rusty or has not fully adjusted, Tim will not give him any time to.
He wants to come back to boxing, and he's not going to start off by a tune-up fight.
He doesn't do tune-ups.
That's why. That's the question. That's when I give my answer. He doesn't give tune-ups. No. I think he doesn't know what he's got left. And if he does a tune-up, he might get his ass kicked in a tune-up against nobody, and that's gonna make him look bad. So that's what I said. That's probably what's going on, and that's probably why he took the decision to go straight into the Tim Tszyu fight. Maybe because he doesn't want to risk the tune-up fight and lose for what, a couple $100,000. He's gonna go in there for a couple $1 million and
There's
take
no
a risk.
losing in that. And he could win. It's 50-50.
Yeah, and if he's fresh and he's good, then he could win. Because Tim Tszyu is also kind of in that direction where he look good. I like the way he fought. Yeah.
Keith Thurman also gave his take on Errol Spence versus Tim Tszyu, and he looked at it as a real test for both.
Keith Thurman also shared his thoughts on Errol Spence versus Tim Tszyu. He viewed it as a genuine test for both fighters. For Errol, this is about proving he still possesses that same pressure, toughness, and championship-level ability after the Crawford loss and the long layoff. For Tim, this is an opportunity to defeat a major name and prove that he belongs with the elite. Thurman understands that Spence is dangerous when he finds his rhythm.
Tszyu,
he's been having some little tune-up fights. He's trying to, like, you know, work with new trainers and, you know, enhance his overall ability in the ring as a boxer. So it's gonna be interesting, but, you know, we know he's vulnerable. He's been dropped a lot. He's been hit, and he's been, you know, stopped. So both of them, you know, have some battle scars, let's say, you know. So for that reason, you know, I think Tim Tszyu has the advantage of activity, and then Spence has the advantage of pedigree, right? He's been at another level. He's achieved more, even though it's at 147. I just feel like he's really done more, been in the ring with more world-class fighters, and had some victories against solid world-class fighters, where Tim Tszyu has not been as victorious when the opposition really hits that A class. Yeah.
Make sure to check out our other videos on the screen. Thanks for watching Knockout Daily Boxing Glove. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more non-stop boxing updates, fight breakdowns, training clips, and knockout moments. Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell us who you want to see next, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a punch.